The forensic report was precise. Death caused by 2 gunshot wounds. The body was then dismembered using a medical-grade surgical saw. The precision of the cuts indicated someone with detailed anatomical knowledge. Someone trained in dissection. The method used to eliminate fingerprints indicated familiarity with forensic science. Chemical traces on the remains matched disinfectants used in operating theaters. The profile forming from that report pointed in one direction: a medical professional. Welcome back to the Dread Archive. This is episode 2 of The Professor's Last Patient. In episode 1, we met Dr. Mohammed Ahmed El-Gharib, professor, endocrinologist, a man who spent 30 years building a reputation so solid that it functioned in the end as the perfect cover. We met Mohammed Mokhtar, a man who had spent years running a quiet scheme built on other people's money. And we watched those 2 men enter a business arrangement that only one of them understood completely. We left Mokhtar at a desk, in a dark clinic, watching a drawer open. This episode is what happened next, all of it. And then it is about the investigators who looked at what was left and refused to accept that it was unidentifiable. Dr. El-Gharib raised a silenced pistol. He fired twice, once in the head, once in the chest. Mohammed Mokhtar died immediately. But dying was not the end of what Dr. El-Gharib had planned for him. What followed was not violence born of rage. It was not improvised. It was not panic. What followed was a procedure, methodical, sequential, executed by 2 men who had agreed on every step before Mokhtar ever arrived. The body was placed onto the operating table. The surgical saw was switched on. The body was cut into 6 separate sections. 6. The hands and the feet were burned. Carefully, methodically. Not to destroy the evidence of violence, to destroy the fingerprints, to eliminate the one identification system that does not require a face. The head was severed, sealed into a bag, carried outside, and placed beneath the rear wheels of the car. He drove over it. He reversed. He drove over it again, more than once, until the skull had collapsed entirely. Then he went back inside and burned the remaining pieces. The chemical disinfectants used were the same ones found in operating theaters, applied to every surface, every tool, every inch of that room. When it was done, the remains were divided across multiple bags. The clothing, shirt, trousers, shoes, placed separately, sealed separately. Nothing left to chance. Nothing left to whoever found it. They drove to an area far from Heliopolis called Fam El-Khalig. They left bags at one point, walked further, left more bags further along, then walked further still. Distance between each drop. Nothing grouped. Nothing traceable to a single location. Then they separated. The doctor went home. He slept. The next morning, Sama called. She asked if the doctor had seen her husband. He told her calmly that she and her husband were running from their debts, that the disappearance was a performance to avoid repayment. He was sorry she was being put through it. Then he hung up. He arrived at the university. He taught his students, like nothing had happened. 4 days later, a sanitation worker found the first bag. When forensic and criminal investigation teams arrived at Fam El-Khalig, they worked through the area systematically. They found 5 bags in total, spread across different points along the route. The first contained 2 forearms and 2 hands, burned beyond conventional recognition. The second held the remaining body sections, also burned, also dismembered with a level of precision that immediately distinguished this from a crime committed in anger. The third bag contained a skull, completely shattered, completely burned, with only one small region, a section near the eye sockets, that remained faintly readable. The fourth and fifth bags held the clothing. The forensic report documented what the scene revealed. No fingerprints, no facial tissue, no identifying marks visible to the naked eye. The dismemberment had been performed with medical-grade precision. The cuts were anatomically informed. The burns were targeted, not incidental. Chemical traces on the remains matched disinfectants used in surgical environments. Whoever did this had spent years studying the science of the human body, and years understanding what investigators look for when they are trying to give a body a name. Inside the Criminal Investigation Unit, a specialist team made a decision. They would not accept that the skull was unworkable. Using cotton, adhesives, and forensic reconstruction tools, they began a process that most people would consider impossible given what they had in front of them. They carefully rebuilt the external bone structure from the fragments that remained. They mapped the eye sockets. They traced the nasal cavity. They measured the orbital ridge, the jaw angle, the cheekbone structure. And when their reconstruction was as complete as the material would allow, they handed their work to police sketch artists. A facial composite was produced, from bone alone. That composite was cross-referenced against the missing persons database. The strongest match, by a significant margin, was Mohammed Mokhtar. 48 years old, missing for over a week. DNA confirmed it. He had burned the hands. He had crushed the skull and burned it. He had dismembered the body with anatomical precision, scattered the remains across multiple locations, and treated every surface with surgical disinfectant. He had designed this crime using every piece of forensic knowledge 30 years of medical training had given him. And they still identified the body. Investigators sat down with Samar. They asked her directly, did her husband have any serious conflict with anyone before he vanished? Yes, the most recent was with a doctor, a professor at Ain Shams University, an investment dispute involving 170,000 Egyptian pounds. The doctor had filed a lawsuit and then suddenly withdrawn it. Investigators pulled the records. The lawsuit existed. The withdrawal existed. Dr. El-Gharib was brought in for questioning. Episode 3 is what happens in that room. The confrontation, the alibi, the man who knew everything. Subscribe to the Dread Archive. Turn on notifications. Don't miss the final episode. Because in episode 3, the most important question in this case is not who did it. It is what was known, and by whom, and for how long.